What's up YouTube, this is Qazi. Welcome to another amazing tutorial. This one is going to be part one of many part series. I'm talking about John Wick, one of my all-time favorite films for so many different reasons, but most importantly, they kill his dog. And you're probably wondering why I chose this particular frame. Two reasons. One, so you're not gonna find other tutorials like this. Two, I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to take something that does not belong together. These are completely different shots. One could be 4 p.m. overcast and the reference image is clearly evening time. So getting everything in the ballpark is gonna require some jiggery pokery, but we're ready for it. And that's what's gonna make this tutorial also freaking exciting. Now, before I jump into our tech specs, I have an exciting news. No, we're not pregnant. Instead, you can finally sign up for my freelance colorist masterclass for limited time only. You should be seeing the link up above. Go ahead, click on that, or watch the video on my main page to learn more. Most of you go crazy when I drop a 30-minute tutorial on here. Now imagine 23 hours of content, 157 training videos. Not only that, you get access to me as your mentor 24/7 via email or DM, and it doesn't end there. You're gonna be able to pay off this course in one day after the skills you gain. But don't take my word for it. Click the link above and listen to what filmmakers around the world are saying about FCM. Enrollment ends soon. Back to the tutorial. Let's hop on and check out the tech specs. The only noticeable thing here is that they used vintage anamorphic glass, which is partly creating this glowy, soft looking image. Guys, I want to take a moment to thank each and every one of you, because right now we are the fastest growing color grading channel on YouTube. This is all because of you. Smash that like button so we can keep the streak going. Subscribe to my channel for more epic content like this. Follow me on Instagram where I drop value bombs left and right. Let's roll the intro. Alright, so the first thing that I want to do is, as always, let's go in and drop in our color palette. And I'm going to move this over for a minute. I'm going to make this full screen so we can analyze what's happening in this image. First thing that I see is obvious that this is CGI heavy. They did a cloud replacement. Obviously, this lamp just doesn't seem real. So let's just ignore all that. Let's just imagine that this is a real shot. So how can we approach this? So when I look at the color palette, I see that the contrast that they are creating with colors is in the highlights, they got warm tones happening, and then in the mids and in the shadows, they have a lot of cool colors used to complement the warmth. And I also see that there are no primary colors, right? So even their choices of greens and blues is very meticulous. It's a very sophisticated grade when I look at it. It just looks classy. And if you remember it from the movie, this is the Intercontinental Hotel, which is supposed to be this James Bond den, you know? Love it, absolutely love it. Let's bring in my scopes and analyze the color story through our scopes. One thing for sure, and that makes sense, how the reds are, you know, lower than the greens and then the blues. And this is where that nice cyan comes into play. So that's perfect. And then what I see is there's more green overall, and I can even see that here, right? Because I mean, it's just leaning a little bit toward that than pure like red sodium vapor that you would see in Joker or any of those other movies. And then when I look at the waveform, you know, what's giving it that cyan look right here is this. Anytime you have your blues higher than the greens and reds are sitting lower, it creates that cyan look that's like a signature Hollywood look. When I look at my vector scope, what I see is that there's not a lot of saturation going on, right? So they're really controlling the palette. If they weren't using warm tones like they are in the highlights, this might as well have been a monotone grade. All right, so this is the shot that we're working with. Let's play it a couple of times. Check it out. All right, cool. So we got our sky, we got our skin tones, we got some clothing, and then we got our ground. So those are the things that you got to keep in mind. I'm going to go ahead and pull our reference image. There you go. And then let's go ahead and click on split and selected still images so we can see them side by side. So in this one, I'm not going to be creating a noise reduction node because I won't be needing it. So I'm going to start off with my exposure. Then where we're going to balance our shot, we'll pull his skin. I'm going to create a parallel node, and that's going to be our grass. Then we'll have our look adjustment. Afterwards, I'm going to call this node pop. Then global adjustment, sharpen. Let's get going, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is, as always, start with the contrast. I want to leave some detail in our shadows, so I think this is pretty good. It gives us enough pop, but doesn't take away everything. One more thing that I want to do here is I'm going to go under my log wheels, and I'm just going to bring this down to about 18, my low range, and then I'm going to pull it down a little bit. I'm going to keep it somewhere around here. Then let's go in our balance. Let's give it a lot of sat, somewhere around here. I'm going to go back into my primaries, take my gamma, and start taking it towards yellow. Now what I want to do is just bring my reds down on my lift just a little bit to add that cyan. Like even that is good enough. Like we just started seeing this right here. And that's helping quite a bit. Now we're going to skip these two nodes and I'm going to jump to my look adjustment, okay? And something very cool and interesting is going to happen in this node. I'm going to go under my curves. I'm going to grab my curves right here from the top and I'm going to bring it down. I'm just looking at my scopes right now. This one, we're going pretty heavy based on what our scopes look like. So I'm going to bring it somewhere around here, and then I'm going to break the chain. Then I'm going to go under my red, and I'm going to start pulling it down, and this is where you're going to see we're going to start creating that look we're after. I'm going to park it somewhere around here. I'm going to take my green, bring it down just a tad to add some magenta. This is looking not bad at all, okay? I'm going to go back in my red. That's the dance that you want to do. Like right now, my focus is how to just get in that world. I'm not even focusing on this part because we're going to fix it. I'm not even focusing on his skin because we're going to fix that. So let's go and fix those. So I'm going to start off with his skin. And guys, as you're picking up on the theme, lately in the popular looks series, what I'm trying to do is give you guys these looks that you can apply from shot to shot and scene to scene and to the entire project. So I'm going to be avoiding using too many windows and too many qualifiers because in the real world, you want to keep your grades very clean. So those are the techniques that I'm showing you, okay? They're coming straight from like commercials that I work on. So everything that you're seeing here is how I work professionally. So what I'm going to do in my skin node is I'm going to go ahead in here under hue versus hue, and I'm going to grab my red and move it towards so we can start giving some juice to his skin because it was looking pretty yellow. If I punch in a little bit, you can see it. And we don't have to overdo it, right? So, I mean, maybe a little bit more. Like something like that. Then I'm going to go under hue versus saturation and I'm going to raise it just to give it some color. Again, not too much at all, okay? Because the whole scene is like very desaturated. So even something like that. So this is where I'm going to park it for now. If we have to make changes, we will be making changes. But as of now, I'm going to leave it right there. One thing that I do want to actually try is I'm going to go under log wheels and use my midtones and just give it a little bit more juice. Let's see what we can do. Because I mean, ultimately, I do want to create some drama, you know, and get warm colors out as we see in here. So if I do before and after now, like this is a big difference, okay? But what I want to do is I don't want to affect this area. I just want to affect his face. So the way to do that is by taking your low range and cranking that up until we get rid of this and only affect this area. So watch what's happening. Okay. Now if I do before and after, we're only affecting his skin and we're not affecting the bottom. Again, did you see what I'm doing? Like I'm not using any qualifiers. I'm not using any windows, just with the tools that are available to us. Having a better command of your tools, you can create some magic without going the extra mile. And we know for a fact that it's not going to be breaking apart. Nothing is going to be happening if we go back and forth. Everything is going to stay intact and look super clean. Okay, so the skin is looking good. We got rid of that Hulk green that he had on his skin because of our look. Now, what we're going to tackle is grass. And there is no reference point for the grass, so it's totally up to your imagination. But I do want to get it in this burn area, like to keep that warmth versus cool tones. And the green is just kind of ugly, so I don't like it anyways. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go under my hue versus hue. This time I'm going to grab my yellow and I'm going to move them around. I'm going to go up to just burn that grass quite a bit. And watch. It's not affecting his face at all, okay? Because his face is living in the red zone and we're only affecting the grass. So that right there is sort of like my reference point. I'm going to burn it a little bit more. I'm going to leave it somewhere around here. So this is before, this is after. Looking way better, okay? So now that we're done with these steps, I'm going to go under my global adjustment. And what I want to do here is this. The thing that keeps bothering me is how uneven the sky is here compared to here. So to even it out, I'm going to use my highlights and I'm going to bring them down to like maybe 40-ish, -40. So you can see it takes the edge off quite a bit, right? So that's looking better. Now what I want to do is I'm going to take my midtones and I'm going to start going in this world a little bit more. So I think there's maybe just like I'm looking at these clouds right here, like this right here. And I'm trying to create that because it was just a little bit too on the green side. This is looking way better. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go under my pop and let me show you this technique, because what's happening is everything is looking good. I got to be honest with you, but you know, some of these areas have like a pretty solid contrast and I want to see if we can try to replicate that. So I'm going to chain these up again. I'm going to click on these three dots and this time I'm going to use add default anchors. And what that does is puts all these points here, right? So that gives us a more finite control on what we're trying to do. And here, what I want to do is I'm just gonna, let's see. I'm gonna go right here, grab this point and pull it down. Like it's gonna be literally negligible, like just barely. And then I'm going to lift that up. I mean, it's barely noticeable, but it is, right? So it's cleaning up his skin a little bit, adding a bit more contrast and drama overall. And it's just super subtle. I mean, we can try to push it, make it a little bit more where it's not so subtle. Let me see. All right, so now we can see it on his skin. It's actually doing quite a bit. One thing that I'm just going to do, just for myself, it doesn't need to be done. You guys don't have to do it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go right here. And I'm going to create another parallel node. And this time I'm going to use my luminance. Actually, let's get rid of that. Let's make this smaller. I'm going to use my luminance qualifier right here. Spread it out quite a bit. I'm going to hit Shift H so we can see what we're grabbing. And I'm going to go right here. I'm going to keep it somewhere around here. And then what I want to do, I'm going to limit that so we only select the blues. So we don't select his skin. That right there. And I'm going to bring my reference back. Let's make it bigger. And I'm going to use my highlights again and just pull them down because I think there's still some sting there. Obviously, I'm going to pull them down until they look natural. So if I look at my scopes, I mean, we're pretty spot on. Maybe on the lower end, let me just get rid of this again. Actually, I don't know. I might just leave this pop off. No, I do like it. I'm going to leave it on. But now I want to see what is happening. So let me make it bigger for 1 second. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to reset my black levels. And I'm going to bring it down a little bit just to match them right here. I think that's better. So let's look at it, right? Like, look at the blues, greens, reds, blues, greens, reds. Same thing over here. Bottom, look at the bottom. I mean, I think we've done it. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead, turn all of these off. Actually, we're not done yet. So here, let's pull these down and this guy down too. Here, let's add sharpening. Obviously, we're subtracting blur, meaning we're adding sharpness. That gives it that extra pop as well. And then let's go under grain, drop in our grain. I'm gonna go to 35 millimeter, 400T, bring the strength up a little bit, bring that down a little bit, and just look at this beautiful, like, boom, like, oh man, just watch this. All of a sudden it looks like film. I mean, Seriously, if I turn this off and we add blanking, this might as well be the same shot. Look at this. I'm obviously gonna turn this off, and that way we can see the entire image. Let's go back, make it bigger. I'm gonna turn this off. Let's grab all our nodes and let's start going one by one. So we started with our exposure, then we went to balance our image. Then I isolated his skin and just give it some juice. Then we worked on the grass, burned it out. Then we moved ahead with our look adjustment, and that's where most of the heavy lifting happened. Pretty much think of it as our look DNA that was created right here. Then we went and took some of this edge off just to kind of get it in this world. And then I added just a very, very subtle pop. Then I went and further selected my sky and brought it down a little bit more and evened it out. And then finally sharpening in grain, and just look at it. Now let's check out the final look in full screen. Hope this was entertaining and equally educational. Don't forget to sign up for the masterclass. Link is up above, or you can check out the video on the homepage of my channel. Smash that like button, subscribe to my channel for more awesomeness. Please share this with friends, and I will see you in the next video.